What if I told you that most startups fail not because they couldn't build their product, but because they built the wrong product, a product nobody wanted? In today's fast-paced business environment, entrepreneurs face unprecedented uncertainty. Traditional business planning often leads to months of development based on assumptions, only to launch products that customers don't actually want. Enter Eric Ries' revolutionary lean startup methodology. This framework has transformed how entrepreneurs approach building new ventures by focusing on three core principles: validated learning through real customer interactions, rapid experimentation to test ideas quickly, iterative product development through continuous feedback. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how to implement these principles to dramatically increase your chances of building a sustainable business while avoiding the wasteful practices that doom most startups. What is the Lean Startup? The Lean Startup methodology is a systematic approach designed to help entrepreneurs navigate uncertainty and build sustainable businesses. At its heart, the Lean Startup is about maximizing learning while minimizing waste. Instead of spending months developing a product based on untested assumptions, entrepreneurs create experiments to validate what customers actually want. Traditional business planning looks like this: develop detailed business plan, build product in isolation, launch finished product, hope customers like it. The lean startup approach is fundamentally different. Form hypotheses about what customers want. Test those hypotheses quickly with minimal resources. Learn from real customer feedback. Iterate or pivot based on validated learning. This methodology is revolutionary because it reduces the risk of failure by testing assumptions early, conserves limited resources by focusing only on what adds value, creates stronger customer relationships by involving users in the development process, enables faster market entry and adaptation to changing conditions. The minimum viable product. The minimum viable product, or MVP, is perhaps the most misunderstood concept in the lean startup methodology. An MVP is not a half-baked version of your final product. Rather, it's the smallest thing you can build that allows you to start the learning process. Let me share some real-world examples. Dropbox created a simple video demonstration showing how their service would work before writing a single line of code. Zappos founder Nick Swinburne tested his online shoe store hypothesis by taking photos of shoes at local stores and posting them online. When customers ordered, he would buy the shoes from the store and ship them. Buffer validated their social media scheduling tool by creating just a landing page describing the service and measuring how many people clicked the sign up button. Here's how to develop your own MVP. Identify your core value proposition. What's the one problem your product solves? Focus only on that. Strip away everything but the essentials. Ask yourself, what's the minimum feature set needed to start learning? Then cut it in half. Choose the right MVP format. Landing page, testing key messaging. Wizard of Oz MVP, where processes appear automated, but are actually manual. Concierge MVP, where you manually provide the service to a small group of customers. Video demonstration showing how the product will work. Define your learning goals. What specific hypothesis are you testing? What metrics will indicate success? Here's the counterintuitive truth about MVPs. These should make you uncomfortable. If you're not at least a little embarrassed by your first MVP, you've probably spent too much time on it. Core concept #2, build, measure, learn. The build, measure, learn feedback loop is the engine that powers the lean startup. This continuous cycle of experimentation transforms guesswork into validated learning. Let's break down how this cycle works. Build. Create your MVP based on your current hypothesis. Measure. Collect data on how users interact with your product. This is where most startups go wrong. They track vanity metrics that look good but don't drive decisions. Vanity metrics include total registered users, total downloads, raw page views. These can be misleading because they don't tell you if users are finding value in your product. Instead, focus on actionable metrics. Activation rate percentage of users who experience your core value. Retention rate percentage of users who return. Revenue per customer. Referral rate. Eric Ries introduces what he calls innovative accounting, a three-step process. Establish a baseline through an MVP. Try to tune the engine to improve metrics from baseline. Pivot or persevere based on whether meaningful progress is being made. Instead of saying, we have 10,000 users, break down your data by cohorts. January cohort, 1,000 users, 23% still active after 2 months. February cohort, 1,200 users, 25% still active after 2 months. March cohort, 1,500 users, 27% still active after 2 months. This shows actual improvement in your product's ability to retain users' real progress. Learn. The final step is taking this measured data and turning it into insights. Imagine this cycle as a steering wheel. Each turn represents a complete build, measure, learn iteration. The faster you can complete each turn, the quicker you can find your way to a sustainable business. Core concept #3, the pivot. You've been running experiments for months. The data is clear. Your current strategy isn't working. What now? This is where the concept of the pivot becomes crucial. A pivot is a structured course correction designed to test a new fundamental hypothesis about your product or strategy. Rise identifies several types of pivots. Zoom and pivot. A single feature becomes the whole product. Example, Instagram started as bourbon with check-ins, photo sharing, and more. They pivoted to focus solely on photo sharing. Zoom out pivot. The current product becomes a feature of a larger product. Example, Starbucks began selling coffee beans and equipment before pivoting to become a coffee shop. Customer segment pivot. Same product, different users. Example, Slack was originally a game company's internal tool before pivoting to become a business communication platform. Value capture pivot. Changing how you monetize. Example, LinkedIn shifted from solely relying on premium subscriptions to adding recruitment services and advertising. Engine of growth pivot. Changing your growth strategy. Example, Twitter pivoted from a podcast subscription network to a social network. How do you know when to pivot? Look for these signs. Diminishing returns from product experiments. One feature getting more engagement than your core offering. Customer enthusiasm, but low conversion. Users aren't using the product as you expected. The decision to pivot or persevere is one of the hardest for entrepreneurs. Most wait too long, burning precious resources. Remember, a pivot is not a failure, it's learning in action. Engines of growth. Once you've found product market fit through the build, measure, learn cycle, you need to focus on growth. Rise identifies 3 distinct engines of growth. The sticky engine focuses on customer retention. Success depends on having a higher customer acquisition rate than churn rate. Metrics to watch. Churn rate, frequency of use, premium conversion. Examples, subscription services like Netflix or SaaS products like Salesforce. The viral engine depends on existing customers, bringing in new customers through natural product use. Metrics to watch. Viral coefficient, how many new users each existing user brings. Viral cycle time, how long it takes for new users to invite others. Examples, social networks like Facebook, communication tools like WhatsApp. The paid engine relies on spending money to acquire customers who generate more lifetime value than their acquisition cost. Metrics to watch. Customer acquisition cost CAC. Customer lifetime value CLV. The spread between them. Examples, e-commerce companies like Amazon, consumer apps with advertising models. Most successful startups focus primarily on one engine of growth. Trying to pursue multiple engines simultaneously often leads to confusion and underperformance. Your choice of growth engine should align with your business model, target market characteristics, competitive landscape, available resources. Implementing lean startup in your business. Let's talk about how to implement these principles in your business, whether you're a solo entrepreneur or part of a larger organization. Start with clear hypotheses. Write down your assumptions about who your customers are, what problem you're solving, how they'll discover your solution, how you'll monetize. Design quick experiments. Each experiment should test one specific hypothesis. Be completed in days or weeks, not months. Have clear success criteria. Measure what matters. Create a dashboard of actionable metrics. Acquisition, how users find you. Activation, users experience your core value. Retention, users come back. Revenue, users pay you. Referral, users tell others. Establish learning milestones. Set specific learning goals instead of just business targets. Validate our pricing model instead of reach $10K MRR. Find our activation trigger instead of get 1,000 users. Create a culture of experimentation. Celebrate learning, not just success. Make data accessible to everyone. Keep experiments small and frequent. Document and share insights. You'll face common obstacles. Analysis paralysis. Combat this by time-boxing decisions. The perfection trap. Remember, progress over perfection. Resistance to change. Share success stories and start small. Lack of data skills. Partner with analytically minded team members. Case studies. Lean startup success stories. Let's examine how real companies have leveraged lean startup principles to achieve remarkable success. Dropbox. The problem: how to demonstrate a complex file synchronization service. The experiment: created a 3-minute demo video showing how the product would work. The result: waitlist grew from 5,000 to 75,000 overnight, validating demand before building the product. Airbnb. The problem: unsure if people would rent their homes to strangers. The experiment: the founders rented out air mattresses in their own apartment during a conference. The result: validated the concept with minimal investment before building the platform. Zappos. The problem: would people buy shoes online without trying them on? The experiment: created a basic website with photos from local stores. The result: when orders came in, the founder would buy shoes at retail and ship them, proving the concept before investing in inventory. These success stories share common elements. They started with a clear hypothesis. They tested with minimal resources. They measured real customer behavior. They iterated based on validated learning. Conclusion: we've covered the essential elements of the lean startup methodology. Build MVPs to start learning quickly. Use the build, measure, learn feedback loop to validate assumptions. Pivot when necessary based on data. Choose the right engine of growth. Implement lean practices systematically. The greatest risk in today's business environment isn't failure, it's building something nobody wants. The lean startup methodology gives you a framework to avoid this fate. Remember, entrepreneurship isn't about having all the answers. It's about building a system to discover those answers as efficiently as possible. Whether you're launching your first startup, developing a new product line in an established company, or pursuing an innovative project, these principles can dramatically increase your chances of success. Don't waste time and resources building in isolation. Get your ideas in front of real customers quickly, learn from their feedback, and build something truly valuable. As Eric Ries says, the only way to win is to learn faster than anyone else. Now you know how. If you found this summary valuable, hit subscribe for more business book breakdowns. Leave a comment below with your biggest takeaway from the lean startup methodology.